This is Dr. David Shine, and welcome to Business Law 101.
What if you're working with a publisher? Would the
Go ahead.
publisher help you?
Well, it depends. It varies. Like I'm published in many professional journal articles, and what they do is the journals do not pay. So what they do is they publish and they assert a copyright on the collection of works, but I still own the copyright to my journal article. Now, a contrasting situation is I have a book out, as many of you know. The copyright to the book is asserted for me, but it's controlled by my publisher. So I cannot reproduce the book without going to my publisher and buying copies of my own book because they own the copyright rights. It's assigned to them. So it depends on who owns the copyright. Did that answer your question?
Yes, but it opened to a follow-up question.
Sure, go ahead.
Would it be best to have our works copyright before we send it to the publisher?
Well, I think what you're approaching is something that I'm working on. I have a musical review that I've put together, and I'm got some pieces I'm missing, so I'm trying to put that together right now while I'm working on a new book and some other works. And so what happens is that I would not submit anything to anybody. I wouldn't let it leave my computer without it saying copyright at the bottom. This is a good example right down here at the left corner, lower left corner of the slide. See where it says Business Law 6th edition. We don't care about that. Here's what we care about. The circle C is the international sign for copyright. The year 2019, the owner BVT Publishing, all rights reserved. Now look at that. It doesn't say Morgan, the author. It says BVT Publishing. Who owns the rights? Who owns the copyright? The publisher does, BVT, not the author, Morgan. But this was probably when Morgan submitted this first edition many years ago. It would have been smart for him to assert copyright when he submitted it to the publisher, and then the publisher would buy the copyright from him. So with my musical review, every piece of that goes out, every sample that I'm working on, if I send a piece out or send the whole script out, it says copyright on it. By the way, this is overkill. You do not need to assert copyright on every single slide of a set of slides. It is sufficient to put it at the beginning of each set of slides. So since this is divided by chapters, this is effective notice even if it was just on the first slide. So, but that's kind of the, practical aspects of how it works. And again, if you're not really exploiting it, like I don't know of a student that would go and file their copyright with the Copyright Office for just a student paper. On the other hand, I had a couple papers last semester, spring 20, that were very good, and I thought they were meritorious enough to be submitted for publication. So in those circumstances where you've got submission for publication, I think that's a very worthwhile thing. And again, that's when you want to go ahead and either you file it or your publisher will file it for you with the Copyright Office. Copyrights are generally done either by your publisher or by you. Not a lot of attorneys are involved in copyrights unless there's some big controversy. But usually for trademarks and patents, there are some people out there who have the sophistication and training who are not attorneys to do intellectual property, to do patents and trademarks, but it's usually done by attorneys that specialize in those areas. This is Dr. David D. Shine for Business Law 101. If you've enjoyed this episode, we invite you to subscribe on your favorite platform.